Well, looky there. I mean, today's Thursday. What are you doing here on Thursday?
Switching it up a little bit.
Yeah, been busy. It's June was homeowner was buyer, homeowner month. I don't know if you know that, where to get people into buying homes and stuff. And it seems like the last week it was pretty busy.
Yeah, really busy. A lot more people out there. There's still, a lot of options though too, right? So everyone's going out. It's a great time. A lot of people have been getting incentivized with going, hearing the good news that, you can negotiate again. You don't have to be, into bidding wars and everything.
What? No bidding wars?
Right.
There's a little bit more inventory, which helps out, right? And that helps out a little bit so that everybody's not overbidding on a house for one place. But I've heard a couple extra offers in certain places on certain homes around here.
Right. So. Yeah, I think it's all pricing,
Mm-hmm.
It's just catching up to where we're at. We're not where we were quite a few months ago.
Right. And one of the reasons we want to talk about this show today about buying your first home is your first home's not usually your forever home. And I think a lot of people want that perfect home the first time. And you might not get the perfect home right away. You might have to work on it a little bit to make it a perfect home.
Yeah, no. And I think you touched up on it too, right before we started recording as well, where it's like you were saying, right? It's like a car you fall in love with, right? There's just always work. There's always maintenance.
Right. Oh, you mean about when you buy a car that you love, you're always working on it? That comment I made.
Yeah. No, it was like a perfect analogy because it's true. I mean, when you're going into a lot of these homes, it's not going to be perfect. I mean, you even look at new homes, right?
No, there's always issues with new homes.
Yeah. So, okay. Regardless, there's always going to be that maintenance and upkeep.
Right. And I mean, the difference though is you're building personal wealth, you're building equity buying that house. The payments that you would normally make towards rent now are going towards your mortgage, paying that down over time. It's a huge benefit, but I understand people are scared for the first time because it's not something that they're used to and they're afraid. That's why they're first time home buyers. And we're trying to help them through that process, try to guide them. But sometimes people just, people make decisions emotionally and then, go through logic. So we have to sometimes help them take that emotion out of it.
Yeah, 100%. And, the way that we try doing that is, I mean, it's as simple as also just comparing, apples to apples, and also going out there and really understanding, where everything is. Specifically right now where, a few months ago, it was really tough because you couldn't even ask for, credits or anything. If something came up and it was repairs, and even if it were $10,000 or anything, above that too, you weren't getting any help. It was like pretty much you had to just, you took it on. And, it's one of those things where if you do understand, right now too, specifically where we are and that possibility of actually being able to ask for those credits, it's helping substantially.
Or it could be hurting.
Well, yeah.
What I mean by that is prior to this, everybody was like, I'm getting the house. Well, you're not going to get anything for, okay, I'll take the house though. I want the house. I want the house. I want the house. Now you have a situation where things are coming up and they're like, okay, we'll give you some money for that. And then now people are like questioning, should I go forward with this? Where before they didn't even have that question because they were just trying to get that house and get into that house. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
No, right. And I think like you're saying, I mean, more than anything, it's just, it creates more doubt, right? It creates more doubt about what's going to happen moving along. But still, I mean, a lot of the times, even when you run these inspections and everything, they're recommended repairs. A lot of the times, it doesn't have to be done right away either. I always tell everybody too, you not only do you treat, the inspection report as, your means of seeing what's wrong, but it's a to-do list,
Right.
Things that you can take on day by day, and sometimes it takes a bit longer, you have things that you just keep dreading and pushing off. But, is it such a substantial inconvenience, that you can't move forward, right? And that's where I think, we would really like to help coach everybody and understand that, these things, it happens. You're never going to go into a house and things aren't going to come up.
No house is perfect. I mean, brand new ones have issues. When my wife had a brand new house, and that was before we were married, and I moved in, and right after they moved in originally, I mean, the toilet upstairs, they didn't put the wax ring on, so it leaked to the bottom. You know, I mean, it was just one thing after another, because new homes, they just don't really, you have to go in and check everything also. But what we want to get at is, if you're in contract anytime and you're thinking, well, you know, you start getting nervous, right? Buyer's remorse, and you have to take buyers sometimes off the ledges and talk to them. The best way to do that, we'll get to you, Joe, give us a minute, is, I always tell people the same thing that Ben Franklin does when he was trying to make a good decision. He would do a T account. He would put pros and cons. So what you need to do is go through and help them write all the pros down, right? And then go over to the con, why they shouldn't, why they should not buy it, and have them write that stuff down. And they usually can make the right decision.
Yeah, no. And I think you want to answer this question real quick.
Yeah. I just, hold on a second. Sorry, allergies. All right, Joe is always here. Thanks, Joe. What concessions and contingencies should I include in the contract? Well, you should be talking to your agent first of all, so they can include that.
Yeah, no. And I mean, I guess me being the agent here, right?
Yeah.
You know, I would say your contingencies, you should have them all.
Right now, right? Especially if you're buying in our area. Bay Area might not have them all.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
No, I know that they try to shorten things up and everything too, right? But I've been telling everybody right now at this time, yes, you should be having absolutely every single contingency. Your
appraisal contingency. Let's explain it to them. Appraisal contingency, you would have your loan contingency, and you would have your inspection contingency, right?
Right. And
Am
within
I missing
those,
one?
Well, I mean,
no,
not really. No, those are like the main contingencies. I mean,
now I saw one from the Bay. So I do stuff in Southern California also, and down there they did a 7-day for the appraisal, right? So they're in certain places they're doing things faster. So I would say, what's the typical time period for inspections?
Typical time. I mean, now the way that the contract actually got updated, we're actually looking at like 17 across the board for everything.
Okay. So, but then they can short that up if they want to, right?
Right. To be, more aggressive. If you have competition, if you're competing with others, you don't always have to remove them. You could shorten them. And obviously, backing that up, whether, like, let's say you're going to shorten your appraisal contingency, they might ask how, why or how can you get that appraisal faster? We're going to pay for a rush.
Yeah, exactly. Which makes it usually 7 days or less. But recently they're fast right now because there's not the same amount of people doing refinances and all the other stuff. So they have time to get them done. When he's talking concessions, what concessions do you think he's talking about? Joe, are you there? Do you know what you're talking about?
No. So concessions, I think, so concessions, it's always negotiable, right? Like it's never a given. Like, I don't think like it'd be nice if a buyer always had the power, like, oh yeah, I'm going to get concessions.
So what we're probably talking about is like if there's pest issues that need to be repaired, or you could get the money for your closing costs, right? As long as we don't know as a lender, anything that needs to be repaired. Because right now, not on every house, but most houses, you could possibly get some money towards closing costs if you are, instead of repairs, or you can ask for closing costs up front.
You're right. And that's even, like you said, right now, the good thing is you could do it up front, right? And you try to, sign yourself some of those credits, like we said, right? Whether it's buying the rate down or paying some closing costs, whatever you may want to do with it. And then you also have that possibility of it's there for those things. And also if inspections come up, or things come up on the inspection report that needs repairs, you can take care of the bigger items, right? I always say that, take care of the big things, because a lot of the times, with these inspection reports, they're big. There's a lot of stuff on them. They're marking up everything that they possibly can, and that's the thing, is sometimes it can look very daunting. Right. But when you really look through it, you can find what's absolutely necessary and the things that you could take on, like you said, just day by day.
Right. And if you don't want to take it on, ask them to repair them all. I mean, the issue, you got to remember, the inspection report that the inspector does is going to tell you how ugly the house is. Not how beautiful the house is, but tell you how ugly it is, so that they can tell you these are all the things wrong with it. It's up to you to say, okay, that's not that bad. And it needs this, it neds this. Well, as I said before, every house is going to need something year in, year out. You got to do upkeep and that kind of stuff. So, if you're getting a house that has a new air conditioning, that's a positive. If you're getting a house that has, solar that's bought and it's already been paid for, that's amazing. But if you have to, take on that lease, that's something different.
Yeah, no. And it's all these factors, right, that you have to take into consideration. And I mean, you even look at, sometimes even the benefits of, a lot of the times some people might even not want to spend the money on inspections, but I always say it's an absolute must. You should, because not only is it a peace of mind type of thing, but it's also, you know, a negotiating factor, specifically right now, where, you could go in there and you could say, hey, these are just some of the things. And you can, from there, once again, you decide whether once you get those credits, you actually want to use it to repair the stuff, or, save yourself some money, pocket some money. And a lot of the times too, what I always say is these inspection reports, sometimes, the bids and everything are pretty high. A lot of the times
they're, because what people don't realize is the pest report is what we used to call a loss leader. You know what a loss leader is?
No,
a loss leader is what they do in stores to get you to come in. Like they sell something under cost so that you can come in and go, okay, I'm buying that now. Where you're in there, you buy all this other stuff. So the pest report is a loss leader, which means they just make enough to cover their costs. They make their money off of the repairs.
Right.
I'm not saying they push the repairs on you and that's why they do it wrong. I just say that's basically what I consider a pest report, is a loss leader. And then they want the other stuff. And that's why if you get a contractor, usually sometimes it's half the price. I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes it can be half the cost. So if they have $12,000 on it, really could only be $6,000.
Right. And I'm always a big advocate too. Like when let's say you're buying and you know how to fix some of these things, right? You have that knowledge, or you have family that has that knowledge. Now you're not paying for work or even discounted work. You're just paying for material.
Right.
A lot of the times, it's like they say, you get your uncles over or something, grab them some beer. Yeah.
Or don't.
Yeah. No.
Beers afterwards, not during working, because then things don't. Oh, that's a good.
It depends. Like, like with Hispanics, I mean, it's like if there's no beer, they're not working. You know what I mean? But it's yeah, no, I think it varies, right? But across the board,
and we're not saying generally that's how it is for every Hispanic. We're just saying in Francisco's household, that's how it is.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's but it's true though. It really is true where you could save it. It's actually ridiculous.
And that's what we're saying. So I hope, Joe, we answered your question about what, house hunting, what concession contingencies you should look for. Basically, we're back to kind of where we were before pandemic, right? Where what you can ask for stuff, ask for closing costs. However, what I'm getting at is it's starting to get out there that you can do this. So that means the more it gets out there, the less it's going to be happening, meaning because then there's more people competing against on the offers. So if you're going to be buying, and right now rates have appreciated a little bit. I mean, I'm just going to say what I got one client, we're in the middle fours for FHA, which, a couple weeks ago, it was much higher than that. The key to interest rates, FICO scores. Right, FHA 660, 680, you want it or higher for FHA. That gives you the best FICO score. I mean, the best rate. Conventional 760, 740, for the best rate. It's key on FICO scores to get the best rate.
Yeah, no, I think it is huge. I've actually, that's something I've been doing as well, as going back to, previous clients who kind of fell off the boat for a little bit, when everything got super aggressive, is I've been telling them, make sure your credit's in check, make sure, you've got some money saved up. And if you're not there yet, work towards it. It'll make a huge difference. And I always tell everybody, whenever you're ready, we're here to help, right? It's that I always say, don't base your purchase off the general market. You want to base it off of yours, your current wants and your current needs. So as soon as, you can really swallow that pill, right? Where it's like, you get past the point of repairs and the point of, that uncertainty, right? Like a lot of the times too, I was just talking to my cousin about this, her reservations are that, why she hasn't gone out to buy is because she feels if she takes on a mortgage compared to, her current rental rate, that she won't be able to provide her children with their wants and needs. And, it's like, well, what are those wants, right? Yeah, Starbucks, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
buy a coffee maker at home. It's better.
Yeah. So, little things like that. And I always say it's lifestyle changes, and not only that, but a lot of the times when people buy their first home, you really don't understand just how great you get at managing your money. You know, a switch turns where you're understanding that at every month, you know, you have to make this payment, and it feels a lot better too when it's for you, right? Like we were saying.
Right. Well, and also after you do it for a short period of time, you won't even remember what it was like before. You know what I mean? It's just doing it. People are just really nervous to do stuff, right? Because they have not done it before. So you just, it's just getting into it and starting the process. And that's all you got to do.
Right. 100%. I think, you know, another thing to touch on, I think obviously a lot of those reservations do come from also this thought that things will come crashing still.
Right. And it's not, we've already had that conversation, move on, but I want to go back to credit. It's so important that you fix your credit before you do anything. We have, and I'm going to put this up there. If you guys want information regarding how to fix your credit, just text Jerky to 33777. It'll come to us. We'll send you a PDF that shows you what to do. Like we have a secure credit card that's updates in 7 days. We have an installment loan that actually is a saving account. We'll send that to you. And we'll also send you the form to put your rent onto your credit report, which adding all those things, that could be almost 70 to 80 points.
That's awesome.
Right.
That's
so
huge.
And let's do that right away before you get into contract or before. And when I say let's work on this, and then next thing I know, we got to offer accepted. No, let's give it 30 days. Let's to 45. Let's do all this so that when we price you out, we can give you the best FICO score out there. I mean, the best rate for the FICO score that we could get you, because it's so much easier. I mean, another thing you could do is just get two secure, you know, if it's husband and wife or whatever, get on, or you can get on each other's cards, right? Be an authorized user. Same with your parents. Add on to one of their authorized accounts, and that they've had for 20 years. And now you have a much higher FICO score. There's so much you can do in a short period of time to get that up. So let's do that first.
Again, 100%.
Text it to that.
Yeah. And these are, you know, and these are big things, like we said, you know, where if you're not there yet, you know, again, going with somebody like Ed, he's going to get you there, right? He's going to go ahead and push that. And I mean, he's experienced with it. So it's one of those things where, again, you know, representation is a big thing too, especially when you're buying your first home.
Yeah. Well, I want to get you in and so that you're happy. I want to make it an easy process. The problem we run into is if you have a 607 FICO score, yes, you can see people jumping all over TikTok that they walked in and got somebody done for 580. Who cares? The issue is if you're a 660 FHA, it's a totally different world. You got a much nicer FICO score. I mean, I keep saying FICO score, I mean rate, than somebody else. And that's, you know, it could be 3/4 of an interest rate.
Right. Yeah. And that makes a world of a difference.
That could be, you know, $100 to $200, depending on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. I'm done beating the drum.
No.
Everybody be careful out there this week and don't play with fireworks.
Right. Yeah, right. Everybody, yeah, enjoy your 4th of July.
Hold on, I've got some more comments up here.
Okay.
Oh, say Joe, good information for a couple. I was one is first time buyer and the other's not. How does that work when it comes to qualifying? If you're depending on if they're going conventional, 3% down, only one person on the thing has to be a first time home buyer. And first time home buyer means you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. Okay. So that's what that means. So the other way is you go FHA at 3.5. So the true first time home buyer loan is the conventional Fannie and Freddie 3% down. FHA is not a first time home buyer. It's an anytime home buyer loan.
Yeah. I think with FHA, it's like they say, you know, it's just lower credit score, which in turn leads to depending, right, on the interest rates and everything.
Well, it depends on where you're at. I mean, the one thing about conventional, it's off of, you know, 647 to 53% down, right? Where FHA we're maxed out at a purchase price of 476 in our area.
Right. Yeah, that limit.
Right, because you got a loan limit of for whatever it is, you know, and then I've just added on what your down payment is. So, right. So for that couple, that's basically one has to be a first time home buyer. All right. I hope that answered. Hey, Joe, give me a call, text me, message me.
Yep.
All right. Everybody make it a great day. And we will see you, I don't know, next week, I guess. Right. I'll see you tomorrow with Mike, but Francisco, he's out of here. We'll see him next week. All right. Thanks, sir.